Rick Grimes will return later this year in 2022, with an even more bolder and grander appearance in 2023. Spoilers ahead, of course, for everything The Walking Dead, including these episodes out now.
Rick! Look, everybody, it's Rick!
Alright, so it's no surprise that The Walking Dead is setting up Rick Grimes' infamous return. After being written off all the way back in Season 9 and having movies announced for some date at one point in the future, we still don't know, I have reason to believe that Rick will return in at least the final episode, if not the last 2 episodes. For sure the final one in some way. Now, not gonna lie, I shot a video about this on Sunday talking about this, only for them to announce this today. Now, this is pretty interesting, and we're gonna go off on a little tangent talking about this for a split second. Maggie and Negan have their own show together. The dude that killed Maggie's husband, the widow, and the murderer are getting a show together on the big screen. In New York. Manhattan. What? Okay, we thought it was crazy seeing all these walkers in Atlanta and Georgia. Dude, you haven't seen anything till we get to the Big Apple. The big city, the big walkers. It is gonna be tight. But more specifically, I'm interested into seeing what they're gonna be doing in New York. On this poster alone, it obviously shows callbacks to the original opening scene with Don't Open, Dead Inside. And if you look closely, you see a little sign that says the Lincoln Tunnel. I mean, come on. You know he is coming back based on those 2 things alone, okay? It was announced a while ago that Daryl and Carol were getting their own spin-off show, and we still don't know what it's going to be called, but we know it's releasing next year, in addition to the Maggie and Negan show. So season 11 is obviously an extended season, clocking at 24 episodes. I had thought originally that Rick would return for the 23rd episode at the very, very end with like a name drop reveal and it shows his face. Cut to black, that's the end of the episode. And then he would have a full appearance in 24 for the finale, because it started with him, it damn well needs to end with him. 100%, in some way, shape, or form. But now, after seeing that they just announced the Maggie and Negan show, I have reason to believe that Rick will be teased at the end instead. Don't get me wrong, I want Rick to be in the full episode no matter what, but after the announcement today, I feel like it's more going to be a tease at the very end of the final episode. Right now in the show, Carol is taking more of a liking to Lance because she's smart and she knows how to get stuff done like Lance is doing. Lance is pissing off Eugene a whole lot with him trying to find Stephanie and stuff like that, and people going missing. And so this all interconnects into Rick in the grandest scale possible. I'm pretty sure Lance knows about Rick and that Carol will kill Eugene. So in the comics, what happens is Dwight's wife is killed off. When he's alone in a room with Pamela, the leader of the Commonwealth, Dwight wants to go attack her, but Rick, out of instinct, just shoots him and stops him there, because if he did, this would cause a wedge between his group and the Commonwealth and start a war. Well, because of this happening, a wedge is formed regardless between his group and the Commonwealth, and so basically what I think will happen is Eugene will try to kill Lance or something like that, and Carol will have to go defend Lance to get in good with saving Ezekiel's life. And so Carol will shoot Eugene and she'll be charged, and of course it's going to cause a wedge between the groups. So what if, because of that, Carol gets banished and Daryl goes with her because of that reasoning? But more specifically, what if at the end of the episode, the final episode, they find out that Rick is in fact alive, and so there are 2 teams, Carol and Daryl, and then Maggie and Negan. We still don't know what Carol and Daryl show is going to be about, but they're going on the road again and everything like that, and it really does make sense if that Rick is teased in the final episode, there are 2 teams split to go find that man and bring him home. Lance is the one that seems to be getting all the dirty work done in the Commonwealth while Pamela oversees it. And it's been hinted that Lance is pretty much hating this part of his job, but like he will do what needs to be done in order to ensure the Commonwealth is safe and secure. And so of all the people going missing, I have reason to believe that the CRM is trading with the Commonwealth. So these are obviously 2 big communities and the biggest we've seen in this universe, and they're right smack next to each other on the map. The CRM has a lot of territory and the Commonwealth seems to have a lot of territory too. It would be crazy not to believe that these 2 communities have not interacted with each other in 10 years. I mean, come on. Groups of thousands in both these communities, how have they not interacted with each other? So I feel like the CRM obviously has way better, more equipment and supplies and just preparedness for this sort of thing, because they're basically a military operation, if anything. That's what it seems like, with all the better tech and gear, and they're trying to find a cure for this thing too. With the A and B test subjects we were teased with the scavengers and stuff like that, and it obviously was fleshed out more in the world beyond, I have reason to believe that the Commonwealth is getting rid of the citizens that they don't take a liking to the CRM for supplies and just keeping them afloat still more than they already are. The rich are still in power in the Commonwealth. There's a whole class system, so it makes sense that they're doing some shady stuff behind the scenes and getting rid of people that are meaning no importance or significance whatsoever. Now, if Connie can keep digging and finding out more and more, this will maybe lead to a tease of Rick still being alive out there somewhere. Part 2 is really diving more into the Commonwealth side of things, and I really feel like by the end of this Part 2 arc, we are going to get a Rick Grimes reference in some capacity, shape, or form. Maybe the third part, full-on legend to the CRM more. I'm not entirely sure yet, but I do know that another group is being introduced in the 13th episode, and Negan will supposedly be with them, so we have a long way to go before we see how all this ties in and makes sense, but Dead's trying to pull a Marvel and just expand their universe, and they're doing a good job at it right now of all this stuff, because they're giving the fans what they want. Fear was good in theory, but just did not land the way it was supposed to, and they had to bring in Morgan and Dwight to the show, and even then, it's still meh. World Beyond was good because it was a limited 2-series event and gave us more info on the CRM. A lot of fans were hoping that Rick would return that show in some capacity, but the only cool things we got were Jadis and more info about the CRM, and also, of course, the after credits scene.
You traded someone to get into the CR, right? That was your ticket in? Somebody's life?
People are a resource. I had someone special. I had an A. But I said that he was a B so he wouldn't end up in your mother's lab. I owed him that much.
I have a B. Not an A. I never had an A. He's hurt, but he's strong. Can you help him?
So I feel like the first movie is obviously going to go over where he's been all those years during the 6-year time jump, after he was taken from the helicopter, how he got on that boat with his boots, and the picture of Michonne and Judith. It all makes sense. So I feel like if anything, the first movie will show everything that's been going on in that time, and then the end of that movie will ultimately set up or tie into more how the final season ends with his cameo or appearance. Second, third movie are definitely going to tie in more of the characters from the TV shows and everything, and also what was revealed in the World Beyond. The after credits scene for World Beyond Season 2 showed something that no one knew about. We always were led to believe that the North American continent was overrun by the zombies, but it was everywhere, and it started in France. And France was the first one to get hit, and they were trying to find a cure ever since beginning 2. And Jenner, from Season 1, was communicating with him all this time. Well, obviously not all this time because it's set 10 years after, but still, Jenner was in communications with him from the beginning, trying to figure out what was going on, of course, before he died and lost hope.
Reviewed the latest data on your side, and the use of cardiac plaques as a host medium for steroidal therapies to jumpstart the circulatory system in the hopes of...
Vous êtes un des médecins?
Oui.
Vous étiez un cavale? Vous vous cachiez pendant tout ce temps?
But it shows that there's a new strain of walkers going about that can run and stuff. They're basically like those things from the Maze Runner.
I want to know more about these variant cohorts you referred to in our last communication. We haven't seen anything like that here at all, nothing close.
So I really do feel like Rick's movies are going to show more of that too, because it's setting up for a more larger scale and scope, and the movies are supposed to be that way. I really hope these movies are like Lord of the Rings length long. They deserve to be. A standard Walking Dead episode is 44 minutes long. The finale needs to be at least an hour, hell, maybe even 2 hours, just to give the fans what they want, because they have not done a long episode like that in a long while. Now, regardless of Rick's appearance in the final episode, he is definitely there, because on February 20th, it was shown that Andrew Lincoln was back in Atlanta with Norman Reedus, and they were there in Atlanta together. Around the same time that Dead showing their final episode. I mean, come on. Now, he was back home in Europe and everything like that a few days after, but like still, there for that short time. And on that same day, Angela Kang did a Walking Dead takeover because a new episode was dropping that night, and a certain fan asked her this question, only with her to reply, I mean, Rick is so back, and we all know it.
Rick! Look, everybody, it's Rick!
Those two things add up so well, and it's like, of course they're trying to keep it on the download to like be the big surprise, but it's just like Spider-Man when everyone was saying that Tobey and Andrew were going to be in it, and they were, and like we were not disappointed because we knew it was going to happen, but it was just the hype and the realism that, oh my god, this is happening. And the same thing is going on right now for Rick Grimes coming back to the show. And it's going to be so good. I really do like that everyone's getting hyped because of this and everything like that, and the fam just seems to be just all giddy and like theories going about like what's going on. We haven't seen that in a long while because I know ever since Negan was introduced, the show took a slump because of killing off some favorite characters, and the showrunners were just meh during that time. But it really does seem to be picking back up, and I do love that. I really do. Dead is still alive, and it will show next year when we have the 2 spin-off shows and hopefully a Rick Grimes movie. I feel like this year at Comic-Con, they could easily show Rick Grimes' return in either a movie trailer or just a Season 3 Part 3 trailer. The reason why these movies have taken so long is because COVID happened, and then they announced the show was going to be ending not too long after Lincoln left the show. And so it makes sense to where like they wanted to rewrite it and make it to where like after the show ends, it'll lead right into Rick's movies and just make it play out beautifully. Because we've been waiting so long to see these movies, and it's like, if Dead wasn't ending, we probably would have gotten one by now. But they wanted to play it smart and crack down, get better on it, and give fans what they wanted, which was Rick Return of everyone on the big screen instead of just our at-home screens. We've had that for 10 years, and yes, it's been great, it's been awesome, but to see Rick Grimes on the big screen with Daryl Dixon, Negan, Maggie, Carol, everyone, it's going to be so grand. I really do think that the intro for the final episode should be in similar style to the comic one they've had since season 9, which is cool. I obviously like the older intros better with the live action stuff, but I really think they should go back to where it all began with Atlanta and just go through the motions from everything in comic style. So Atlanta, the farm, the prison, the sanctuary, Woodbury, Terminus, everything, just everything from start to finish. And because this is an endgame level event, we need to pay tribute to all the characters that are no longer with us. Maybe show them in silhouette form throughout the intro and their importance, of level of importance. So like you got, of course, Carl, Glenn, Abraham, Sasha, and you got the lesser characters that we've only seen for a little bit of time, like Shane, Dale, Andrea. They really need to show everyone again. I feel like fans would deserve that. It's just a little bit of wave of nostalgia, because it's like the greater known characters that we knew and loved over the years have like gotten some mention. Sure, like obviously Glenn and Carl have been mentioned bit by bit, but not a whole lot. I feel like Carl should be mentioned a lot more than he has been. I mean, especially considering the way the TV shows differ from the comics, that Carl lived till the end, and that obviously is not the case. I'm still pissed about that, so I really do hope when Rick returns, there's going to be some more mentions of Carl. I want that for me personally, because that's all Rick was fighting for all this time, and now he has to do the same again, but for Judith and everyone that he's grown to love all these years. But it was always mainly about Carl from the start, and so to have that going on with him, it's just like, I really do think Carl needs to be mentioning it by the time it's all said and done. And maybe Chandler needs to come back in some way of a flashback, please. But regardless, guys, Rick Grimes is back and Dead is more alive than ever. And next year is going to slap if this year hasn't already.